Welcome to Lastus News Blaster. If you want daily real celebrity news, subscribe now. For decades, Johnny Paycheck was one of country music's most misunderstood legends. Loved by fans, feared by record labels, and written off by critics as reckless and self-destructive, Paycheck lived a life that blurred the line between outlaw myth and painful reality. Now, looking back at the final chapter of his life, it's clear that at 64, Johnny Paycheck finally confirmed what fans had suspected all along. The man behind the music was far more complex, conflicted, and honest than his reputation ever allowed. This wasn't a dramatic press conference or a single viral interview. Instead, Paycheck's truth emerged slowly, through late-life conversations, lyrics that took on new meaning, and the reflections of those who stood by him when the spotlight faded. In the end, his silence wasn't emptiness, it was exhaustion, a voice that never fit the system. Johnny Paycheck never tried to be polished. From the moment his raw, aching voice hit the airwaves, he stood apart from Nashville's clean-cut image. While others sang about heartbreak with restraint, Paycheck sounded like he'd lived every lyric, because he had. Industry insiders long believed Paycheck sabotaged his own career. But as he aged, a clearer picture emerged. Johnny Paycheck didn't reject the system out of arrogance. He rejected it because it never made room for people like him, deeply flawed, emotionally exposed, and unwilling to pretend. In later interviews, Paycheck acknowledged this directly. He admitted he was never interested in being fixed for radio or softened for executives. What fans heard as rebellion was, in his words, survival, the song that told the whole story. Take This Job and Shove It became an anthem for the working class, but it also trapped Paycheck in a stereotype. Many assumed the song reflected nothing more than anger and defiance. At 64, Paycheck made it clear the song was something deeper, a cry from a man who felt invisible. Friends close to him revealed that Paycheck often said the song wasn't about quitting work, it was about being treated as disposable. That message, he believed, applied just as much to the music industry as it did to factory floors. By the end of his life, Paycheck no longer distanced himself from the song. Instead, he embraced it as the truest expression of his philosophy. Dignity matters, even when the world refuses to offer it. Legal troubles and public judgment. Johnny Paycheck's legal issues were well documented, and for years they overshadowed his music. Headlines focused on arrests, courtrooms, and prison time, while his artistry faded into the background. What became clear later was that Paycheck never denied his mistakes. At 64, he openly accepted responsibility, but he also challenged the way those mistakes defined him entirely. He spoke candidly about addiction, anger, and mental strain, topics that were rarely discussed openly during his peak years. Paycheck didn't ask for sympathy, he asked for honesty. He wanted people to understand that talent doesn't cancel trauma, and fame doesn't cure pain. The price of being real. In his final years, Paycheck acknowledged something fans had long believed. Being authentic cost him everything. But he didn't regret it. He admitted that if he had played along, stayed quiet, and followed the rules, his career would have been longer and easier. But he also believed it would have been meaningless. To Paycheck, music was confession, not performance. This realization reframed his entire legacy. He wasn't reckless for attention, he was uncompromising in a world that punished honesty. Health struggles behind closed doors. As his health declined, Johnny Paycheck retreated from the spotlight. Many assumed he had given up. In reality, those closest to him say he was finally at peace. At 64, Paycheck acknowledged that his body was paying the price for years of hard living, but he also expressed gratitude for surviving as long as he had. He spoke about mortality with surprising calm, telling friends he had already said what mattered. Through his music, this acceptance marked a sharp contrast to the chaos of his younger years. It was the quiet confirmation fans never expected, but always hoped for. A reputation rewritten too late. Only after his death did mainstream narratives begin to shift. Critics who once dismissed Paycheck as unstable began reevaluating his catalog. Younger artists cited him as an influence. Fans returned to his music with fresh understanding. At 64, Johnny Paycheck didn't rewrite his story. He stopped fighting it. And in doing so, he allowed the truth to surface naturally. He was never a villain or a victim. He was a human being living loudly in a world that prefers silence. Why fans always Fans sensed it long before the confirmation. They heard it in the cracks of his voice, the pauses between verses, the way his songs lingered long after they ended. Johnny Paycheck wasn't acting. He was exposing himself every time he stepped up to the mic. That's why his late-life honesty resonated so deeply. It didn't shock people, it validated them. The legacy that endures. Today, Johnny Paycheck stands as a symbol of something rare in entertainment: unfiltered truth. His life warns against romanticizing self-destruction, but it also challenges the industry's habit of discarding artists who don't fit neatly into boxes. At 64, Johnny Paycheck finally confirmed what we all knew. The chaos, the pain, the defiance were never the point. The point was truth. And he delivered it, even when it cost him everything. In the end, Johnny Paycheck didn't need redemption arcs or public apologies. His confirmation came quietly, honestly,